Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the Blender and textbook updates. We have with us today Jonathan Decker and Dominique Wicker from the Department of Educational Technology. Before we get started, however, I would like to do a little bit of housekeeping. We are streaming live to YouTube right now, and we do have a chat feature so you can communicate with us. You will see some moderators in the chat. They'll have wrenches by their names. One of the most important reasons we have moderators in our chat is to answer your questions. We are on about a 20-second futuristic time, so we're a little bit ahead of you here in the studio. So some of your questions we're not thinking about, but our moderators can maybe answer those for you. This session is being recorded and it will post to our YouTube channel following the broadcast. I hope you like this video. If you do, click the little like sign. And as always, please subscribe to our channel down below. If you click the little bell, it'll notify you every time we go live. So I'm going to bring up our special guest today. And let's go ahead and add them to our stream. And we have welcoming Jonathan Decker and Dominique Wicker to the platform today. I'm going to let you guys take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Rebecca. As real brief introductions, I'm Jonathan Decker, been on the educational technology team for over a dozen years, and I've been working with things like Blender and online textbooks for the entirety of that duration. So it's going to be a pleasure to kind of share some updates and maybe introduce a few folks who are new to the district to this great resource called Blender, and a little bit of information about how we bring online textbooks to our teachers here in the district. And joining me is Dominique.
Hi everyone, I'm Dominique Wicker. I've been on the ed tech team for about almost a year now. Very happy to be here. I hope that you guys can take away some good tips and tricks and ultimately walk away with knowing that you guys have a one-stop shop in Blender for true vetted and approved content that will meet your students where they are and to help teachers' jobs a little bit easier. So thank you for attending, and I hope this is a success for you guys.
All right. So what we're going to do in the first series of slides is we're going to go over some of the background information about why the district has decided that Blender is a valuable resource, and a little bit about how we put things together over time. And Dominique is going to be driving. So as we move through the slides, I may give her an indication of when we're ready to go, and we are ready to go. All right, so what we hope to accomplish today is to either give a reintroduction or an introduction to the newest folks here in the district about Blender, walk through the quick tips, which we'll also share with you during the presentation, how to get access to the quick tips, and give you an update of where we are with textbook access and the year-to-year transition, which is just a little bit different than we'd anticipated when school ended last year. So a few key updates, especially for groups that maybe have new textbooks. So we'll go over some of those details. Thanks, Dominique. The ultimate why that we want to provide something like Blender is to give the teachers kind of one-stop shopping whenever possible, so that if you're given a specific teaching assignment, you know the first place that you could look for good content and instructions. And that's, of course, evolved over the years, but the idea that the district wants to work together, and you can see here that this requires the collaboration of many different district departments, as well as the providers of all the instructional materials we work. And hopefully you'll find some resources here as we navigate through Blender in the next half hour or so. So not only have I been around for quite a long time, this idea of bringing the resource to the teachers has also been around for a very long time. I think my first adoption was just under 14 years ago, and we started talking about bringing things like CDs and maybe DVDs and videos that would been included with online textbooks. We talked about bringing those out of the closets and put them just at the fingertips for the teachers. And now we've evolved into this world of seemingly never-ending resources and all kinds of OER resources, as well as the materials we get through our textbooks. And this has been an ongoing process for well over a dozen years. One of the key elements that we'll talk about a number of times in this presentation is that Blender only stays relevant and viable if we're meeting the needs of the teachers. And so we're going to talk about a couple of different places where you're going to be able to provide ongoing feedback on whether or not Blender is meeting your needs, give you some places where you can share anything that might be going wrong, and also importantly, things that you think are working and maybe some other ideas that would benefit the district with. So we're going to circle back and talk about feedback a couple of times. Thanks, Dominique. Okay. So whether or not we are all aware of it and think about it every single day, if you're just joining us, you're joining a huge family. We have, well over 170,000 students on a given day. We have 12,000 plus teachers, approaching 13,000 teachers, and all the people that are coming together here in Palm Beach County are joining from all over the globe, speaking all different languages, and they're all bringing their individual needs. So it's a real challenge to be able to meet some of those needs with something that is centrally located. And trying to meet those needs. So, welcome to a large family. When we take a look in Blender, hopefully you're going to find something that addresses the needs for all these different users and in different modes and modalities that meet all those needs. And again, if you have suggestions on how to make it better, we'll be looking at your feedback after this. One of the things that is going to be increasingly important as we work through these distance learning challenges is making sure that you as a teacher know your individual students, and when you get a chance to work with them in the classes, their differences and their specialties and their talents, but there's a very wide range of needs in the school system. So Blender also tries to make sure that you have resources to meet those needs as you come together. As you're encountering your classes first online, you'll have a baseline of information, and we do hope that you'll continue to come back to Blender to find the specific pieces that meet your individual students' needs. And so what the next couple of slides are really is the background for how we've come up with this strategy and why we think putting the content out first and giving you access to great curriculum is the way to go. The reason that having a one-stop shop is more important than ever is because the challenges that you face as teachers is getting more diverse all the time. You're always wanting to focus on the student needs, and you have to remember how to meet those needs in different formats and different types of resources, and making sure that you're using content is keeping them engaged. And using things like Google Classroom or the resources you find in Blender hopefully will allow you to break down a lot of these challenges a lot more easily. Okay. For those of you who have been in the district for a little while, you know that we've kind of focused in on some key elements of instruction, and these key pillars of effective instruction are going to hold true no matter which modes that you're using. And you'll find that Blender is mapped out for you in a way to make sure that you are able to focus on the standards that should be taught, making sure that you find the specific resources for individual students, keeping them all accountable and keeping on track. And again, most importantly, well, not most importantly, but very importantly, keeping them engaged in a way that you'll be able to always know when they're working, how well they're doing, and whether or not the choices you've made have been effective. So why do we do this? Because we think it's important to make sure the teachers have a clear vision of what they should be covering, which standards they should be getting through. Are you giving your students the opportunity to learn, and always quick access to the outcomes for the work that your students have been doing? Always keep those key results in mind. So that's why we're trying to give you that access and that opportunity to learn. And in the next slide, you'll see that if you do give those students the opportunity to learn, stay engaged, stay on task with the right resources, that that you will have some of the best outcomes possible for your students. That's all right. You can, So the other thing that is very, very, very obvious to me is that the teachers have so many things to work through, and so much to consider on what's available to them, what's the best to use, how to use, what's something that maybe is provided by the textbook providers, what you can use in Google Classroom. There's just so many things to think about. One of the most important things we can do is lop off that time you have to spend planning. In the next couple of slides, we'll walk through that. Right. What we've chosen to do is take a lot of that headroom or that extra work that a teacher has to do and eliminate some of that work by actually giving you a fully curated list of resources that should be applicable for the courses that you teach. And true curated work is always evolving. It's always being updated. It's always accessible. And, our goal is to make sure that it's accessible in a way that makes sense to you. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is give you a curated list of resources. And in the district as large as ours, those resources do vary. We're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about textbook adoptions today and letting you know specifically what the district committees have decided are good textbooks for many of the courses. But also, you all know by now that there are many, many resources available, videos, online subscriptions, OER technology, things like OER Commons, a number of resources. CPalms is a great repository of resources. And what we're trying to do is pull the best of all those things and put them right at the fingertips of the teachers as they are encountering Blender. And as I mentioned, the true curated collection is always updated. We try not to let the content maybe that gets outdated stay up. If links are broken, things like that, it always has to be continually worked. And each year there's new opportunities for new resources to come in. So this is definitely an ongoing work. And again, your feedback will help guide whether or not that work is serving your needs. Right. So for those of you who are not familiar with what Blender is all about, again, it should be that one-stop shop. And realistically, that means you should be able to go in, find all the key information for all of our core courses, many elective courses, many access courses, ESOL courses. You should be able to find the course in there for all those major courses in a way that lets you break down the year, find the resources you need throughout the year, as well as keeping you up to date with what assessments are going to be given and when those results are available. And what we've aimed to do with Blender is to do just that. When you enter in Blender, you'll find your courses, and the content should be laid out for you in a way that helps you work through a scope and sequence, find the resources that you need. Again, remind you of if there are common assessments that are given district-wide and other important information about how you should be assessing the student's work. And we do it in a way that should open up the doors for effective cross-planning, shared planning, evaluations of your student results, in a way that when you go back in and revisit Blender, you can make more educated choices on what are the best resources for your individual student. So just like the curation needs to be continually massaged, so does your work, and so does the resources that you might find and use on a year-to-year basis. So that is the model that we've done, and hopefully you'll find it to be successful. Dominique, we can, all right. And I think the one overall takeaway is that if you do choose to use Blender as one of your primary tools, there's almost no way that this could not improve your efficiency as an individual teacher, within individual groups in your school. If you have common planning groups, schools that tend to use Blender have a common language and what courses requirements are. They have a common place to look for those resources, and we'll look at some ways that you can actually refine your own searching and make even more efficient using some of the updated tools in Blender. So, at this point, hopefully, we've done a little bit to let you understand that Blender should be a place for you to plan, to pull resources from, to directly teach, and provide access to that key assessment information to allow you to know where your students are as far as meeting their academic goals, and continue to use those things. The next portion of the presentation, we're going to focus on some of the actual user experience. And Dominique, if you could pull up the next slide. And go ahead and skip right on to the next one. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to key in some of the key aspects of using Blender. We're going to talk through how to get in, how to find your content, talk about how it's some of the content is automatically assigned. Some of it you can seek out for yourself. If you do want to make notes to yourself, how you can leave notes to yourself in Blender and share ideas with others about what's working well in Blender. And then also we will talk about how to work through and reach out for providing feedback and seeking help. Right? So at this point, Rebecca, I'm going to go ahead and want to hop on live, and I'm going to go into Blender, and let me know in the chat if anybody has trouble seeing anything or if any of this pacing goes bad. But one of the couple of key things is that Blender Access is provided automatically for teachers who are assigned to classes, as well as the academic support staffs at the schools and in the district departments. So the first time you log into Blender, you may not see the pinwheel right up front, but what you're going to look for to access Blender is to log into the district portal, find your way to the Blender pinwheel, either by clicking into the Instructional tab, where you'll find the Blender pinwheel. And network seems to be a little bit slow today. So you can either find the Blender pinwheel in the Instructional tabs, or you can simply search for Blender right on the home page. If at any point you are a teacher who you feel should have access, please feel free to reach out to your school techs or reach out directly to myself or Dominique, and our contact information is at the end. Let us know that you might be having trouble. Always happy to take a look. But once you find that pinwheel, you're going to go ahead and click on that, and you're going to get logged in as yourself. For our demonstration purposes today, I've logged in as a demonstration teacher who can demonstrate almost all the functionalities that you're going to find when you log in. So again, access should be as easy as going to your employee portal, finding the Blender tile, clicking to get in, and landing on your homepage. If you are a brand new teacher to the district, our data is being transitioned from year to year. I want you to always feel free to reach out, but know if you are brand new, the newest teachers are being onboarded now, and that access should come as soon as all your accounts and portal access comes. It should follow very quickly after that. So if you have portal access and you can't get into Blender, that's when I want you to feel free to reach out and let us know. So the idea of Blender, again, is to cut down the time needed for you to find resources. So for teachers who are assigned courses, once the school year is fully underway and you log in and our updates are done nightly and you're teaching classes, you should expect to see your assigned classes appear to you on your homepage automatically. If you by chance are a substitute teacher or an AP or a speech language pathologist, you have an instructional role or an instructional support role, but you're not assigned to be that teacher of record, we'll show you in just a minute how you can add courses to your homepage as well. So just real quickly give you a tour of the homepage of Blender. We're going to focus primarily on 3 areas today. We're going to talk about the courses. We're going to talk about the resources that you might want to get to that are found in your courses and your textbooks. And then a little bit later on, we're going to talk about things like bookmarks and notebooks, and my notes. And then we're also going to look at the announcements, which is a newer feature to this year. But for this initial part, if you've logged in, if you have classes that you're assigned to teach, I would hope that you'll see them early in the year. Until that point, any teacher, any instructional support person who has a Blender account can come in and actually add to your own courses on your homepage. So if you're a substitute teacher and you know you're going to be teaching a series of math courses this year, not a problem. Go in, we'll find those courses for you here in a second. Right? So assign courses, and then the courses that you select will be on your homepage. If you don't see anything when you first logged in, it may say you have no courses assigned. You have a couple of options. You can click the gear to manage your courses, or you could log in directly and go into the course catalog. Either of those options are going to give you the full list of courses that are available to you as an instructional teacher or support in Blender. And of course, I'm going to get that. Let me hop back out. All right, we're going to do the rest as me. You can, again, manage your courses or go to the course catalog to add your courses. And all of these courses that are published and available in the course catalog are available to all the teachers to come in and review. Most of the content in all these courses is also freely accessible. There are a few limitations that we'll discuss later when we talk about textbooks, but for the most part, all of these courses, which you'll find here, and I'll scroll, you can see there are close to 200 individually published courses that you can come in and find. So if you're not assigned a course, you can look for your courses based on the grades or the subjects. You could do a keyword search. So if I was teaching biology, I can start to do a keyword search here. It will filter out for those specific courses. And you'll see here I have 2 courses that are biology. One is for the Access Points courses. One is for regular Biology 1, where there's an EOC for that course. And you'll see this one is marked yellow. That you can see here, it tells me that's on my course favorites. This one's not yet yellow. So on my home page, I would not see that Access Biology textbook. So If I back this out and I take a look at the entire list again, you can see here several of the courses are marked yellow, several of them are not marked yellow. If I'd like to add a particular course to my homepage, it's as simple as clicking on the yellow, and now the next time I go home, ELA grade 1 will be on my homepage. Now, since I'm not that demo teacher anymore, there are several courses here. If you happen to select more than, I think it's 12 courses, you might have to scroll through from pages. But you can see here now ELA grade 1 is on my homepage. So again, the ability to add or remove those is very straightforward. You can click to manage your courses, select the courses that you want to be on your homepage, remove any that you don't want to appear. And once you are back at your homepage, and I should have just stayed there, if you do happen to have several courses that you frequent, but you know that some are more frequently used than others, you can also come in and manage the way that they appear. So you saw I had 12 available to me on the first page. The way Blender will work is going to take your first 12 courses. Those will be visible to you at the first page. And if I want to move district textbooks to be a more frequently accessed course, you can see I now have access to that district textbooks course on my page. So access, finding your content, fairly straightforward. And what we're going to do is this presentation is going to follow along with the quick tips that we've shared. So you have access in ELM directly to the quick tips PDF. I'm going to show you a little bit earlier here because of the my account change. You can also come in Blender and look for the quick tips here. So just going to give you a visual of what we're going to work through here. So in Blender, in the help menu, you can always come back and get direct access to these quick tips to walk you through the things we're going to walk through. So we've talked about how to access directly. You can see we walked through how to find your Blender tile, add it if you haven't seen it first. Once you found it, it's always a good idea to favorite it so that it's always on your home page. Quick tips are going to give you a few more details than we have time to go over today. But we talked about how to find your assigned textbooks, how to add additional courses. We're going to talk in a little bit more detail about the textbooks. So we're going to go ahead and continue on through the quick tips. And now we're going to talk about actually navigating the courses in Blender. So once you have found your content, you've added the courses that you want, there are a couple of key things you need to know about how the courses in Blender are put together. And the most important thing to understand is that every course you saw in that course catalog is actually constructed the same way. So whether it was that district textbook course or the biology courses, both regular biology 1 or the access biology course, you're going to see that they're all constructed with a course, unit sections, and potentially lessons. All right, so when you log into any particular course, you're always going to see the course section, the units, and then on some of those courses, you'll find lesson plans. We'll talk a little bit about that. So to demonstrate what that looks like when you go into a course, we'll go ahead and take a look at a math course, an elementary math course, to kind of go over the architecture of that course, units and sections as I displayed, and we'll kind of walk through this fairly quickly just to kind of keep us on track. So out of all those courses you find in the course catalog, when you log in, there will always be a course section There will always be a unit section. There will always be a lesson section. And here's a good example of a course where the lessons are not placed directly in Blender, but they might be provided on the actual unit pages. So all of them constructed the same way. Your left-hand navigation allows you to move very quickly from a course into any particular unit. And then if that unit happens to have lessons on it, you would also see the lessons that they would appear here. So course is constructed, course, units, and lesson. Other similarities across all the courses that you should always be able to find is if it's a course that supports a teacher in teaching a particular class, the key things you should be able to find will be your scope and pacing information. The course level stuff should be things that are relevant all year long. So you always need access to the scope and pacing. In the math, you'll see, for example, they're using embedded calendars to help teachers visualize the school year. So they're going to have links to important PD. They'll have links to the units on their scope and sequence. Some of the other courses maybe will provide a PDF or another Google Docs version of the scope and pacing. But that key information, how to break down the course over the year, will be there provided for you. Some of them will help you navigate Blender. Some of them will be just more informational. So scope and pacing, again, information that you want to have access to always, at the whole course level. So the standards, the print versions of the scope and sequence, you might see things like that at this course level. If vocabulary was important in yours, you might have the grade level vocabulary lists. This is, again, really, really general information for the course, and then it will break down the standards. Every subject area will discuss the standards that you have to meet and ways to work that. And as I mentioned, you're also going to get information about what assessments might be available to you as a teacher to use within your classes. And then support information about those. And then in a minute, we'll see in a unit where you might be able to click and see the results for those assessments. So all the information you need to break down your year, key resources, know what of the key assessments might be coming. And then something we're going to revisit a number of times is what textbook information is available in this particular course. So again, looking at O1 math for this year, we know that they are using a product called Savas Realize. Used to be Pearson. You might be familiar with that name, Pearson. Now they have moved that product to a company called Savas, and they're using Success Makers. So teachers in that course can come here to get information about what's available and how to get access to those resources. So this is one place that you always want to look for up-to-date information about what instruction materials might come with your books or with your courses. And then we're going to see a few other places where you can get higher level looks. Once you've got that general information in the year and you start working through your scope and sequence, then you're going to want to work through any units that are in your courses for you. You see the math is broken down very nicely here by unit. As the year goes on, you'll be able to come in and find the resources that are specific to the unit. It is the summer right now, so I can tell you there's a fair number of things that are being worked on. So right now you get basically getting ready information and some key introduction. Then as the year goes on, you're going to see unit by unit information about which assessments were given, direct access to the assessments, what specific resources from the textbooks might be relevant in that particular unit. So this group does a really, really nice job of leading the teachers to the appropriate resources for specific sets of standards and units. These links are actually all single sign-on links that any teacher can come in and use these links to take a look at those resources. So if you're a substitute and you want to get an idea of what the students should be working on, you can come into the Blender course, find the course that you're subbing for, get an idea of what some of those resources actually look like and how they work. And we won't linger on those things because those are publisher resources, but you can come in and find those resources, use them for your planning and whole group instruction purposes. And again, by unit. Um, so the navigation of the courses is all the same. I think what I will show you is an example of a course that's maybe not designed to help you teach an instructional class year to year. But if you take a look at the STEM course, for example, great resource in Blender for STEM, and a ton of great resources laid out in here. I just want to show you visually how some of the teams have used these courses a little bit more strategically, to give you resources that maybe don't have a specific scope and sequence. So the STEM support course is very much a great resource to get ideas about the concepts behind what STEM education is, information about what professional development might be available, strategies. They have built their course out in a way that helps the teachers actually navigate through hotspots. So you can see here, this is a way to click and get the what and why of STEM. That will actually correspond with a unit that's the what and why of STEM. So the courses are all built the same way. There's a course level with general information about STEM, and then they've broken their course down into key concepts about STEM, and that's the different elements of what goes into having a coherent STEM strategy. So their units are broken down less. I'm going to be doing this the first 9 weeks. Rather, it's I want to focus on a specific concept or an area. But the navigation remains the same. And you can, again, always freely navigate through this left hand. Wherever you click on the left hand, it's what's going to open up in the main viewing area. So some similarities for sure on the navigation. Whoops. So we know how to get in, how to find your content, how to add your own courses. We know how to navigate. And now I want to share with you how to access and view announcements. All right. Accessing and viewing announcements is actually new. It began this spring. I anticipate this to be widely used. Yes.
We didn't see the STEM course. I think it was on a different screen. Do you mind just going back for 1 second?
Oh, no, of course.
Doing that? Okay.
Sure.
Now.
Let me know what you see right now.
We see it now. We're seeing math at the moment. Oh. Okay. We're good.
So you see STEM?
Yeah.
All right. I'm so sorry, folks. So in the STEM course, again, talking about navigation, there are the key concepts: course section, unit section. If there's lesson plans, they would be available, as well. So STEM is an example of a group that is using a blended course a little bit more strategically. They're using the course area for the key concept about what STEM is. And then, Dominique, can you see the STEM resources graphics right now?
Yes, we can see it. We can see the hotspots.
All right, wonderful. I'm so sorry, folks. So in the STEM scopes, they actually aid with the navigation. So you can always click through the left-hand navigation. In a number of the courses, you might find that the teams have actually done some of that work for you. So I can come here. These are the key concepts, the what and why, the design thinking. In a number of the courses in Blender, you might be able to click right here. And let me know if you guys can still see my screen. I landed on the what and why of STEM. Are you able to see that?
Hi, JD. Yeah, we can see it, but your camera feed has broken.
Oh. All right. Of course it has. All right.
You were back for a second.
But can you go ahead and hide me, Rebecca, so that
if I hide, yes, I'll hide you.
All right. The joys of technology. So what I was wanting to share is the navigation of the Blender courses is all the same: course, units, lessons. Some of the courses use hotspots to help you with that navigation. Hopefully it doesn't throw you off too much. There's usually a couple of different ways to get some of these resources. So courses, units, lessons, and then within those courses, units, and lessons, a lot of the teams will do things, you know, slightly differently. You saw on the homepage here, they've done a nice job of embedding the Twitter feed right on their homepage. So different groups are doing different things in there, but the navigation remains the same. All right, let me quickly back to getting us where we need to be to get y'all through here. One of the things that was added recently is the accessing and viewing announcements. Rebecca, Dominique, are you guys able to see my screen that says accessing and viewing announcements?
No, we're on the STEM page.
Really? Okay. All right, so I'm going to try and stay on that page. You see the quick tips?
No, we still see STEM.
It seems that my entire sharing is broken. Dominique, would you like to try and share your computer and walk through the quick tips?
Yes.
All right. So where we left off is Dominique has all the quick tips mapped out for us. We'll quickly go through the remainder of those. So the quick tips that you will walk through are available in Blender, also available in the handout in ELM. And what we wanted to show you is new this year is now not only do you find your courses on your homepage, but any announcements that would be added by the curriculum teams that you have either been assigned or added to your homepage are going to go ahead and show up on your screen. And it appears as though my camera is fixed and maybe sorry guys. The announcements will be on your homepage from any of the courses that you subscribed from. So if you need to know if there's a key update to that biology course, you'll be able to expect to see that come right to your homepage now. And then depending on, Dominique, if you want to hop in and out, actually, you know what, let's just use the slides for the time being. If you click on the title of the announcement, it will bring you to a page that is the announcement all by itself. And then you could also click to go to the course that announcement is placed in. And the next slide, actually, Dominique, on the handout will show you how, there you go. That's good. You can either go to the announcements directly or hand them out. All right. So technically inept that I have been, let's go ahead and move on to the next section, which will be the key information about the textbook information. So quick tips, you can continue to work through the slides that will be in your presentation. It's going to walk you through how to add notes to units and bookmark pages. The handouts will give you pretty clear instructions on how you can do that. One of the key things that I would say about adding notes is if you have a course that has the units built out for it, you want to look and see if it has notes turned on for you. That allows you to actually make your own notes and add your own resources to a unit or a lesson in Blender. And you can go ahead and copy and paste anything you found in Blender to your My Notes section. If you scroll just a little bit more there, Dominique, you'll see the edit functionality. You can copy and paste anything you find in Blender into those notes. Make notes for yourself. Say, this is, this was helpful for me this year. Let's remember this next year. Or maybe even more creatively, you could use those notes to build out an emergency plan for your substitute. So you can build out those My Notes, copy and paste them in. If you print that out as a PDF, you can save the PDF with links in it. Or, and Dominique will slide just a little bit further, you can actually share those notes with an individual Blender user. So you can go in and add those notes to the homepage of another user. So if you found a unit that was exceptionally helpful, maybe those STEM resources or something you really wanted to focus in, you can add notes to those STEM units, add your thoughts and additional resources and share it with another user. And then that appears on the homepage for those users. Similarly, if you find a page that you like in Blender that's not an entire page, we already know how to add the course to your homepage. You can pick individual pages and add them as your favorites. And Dominique will scroll down through here quick and you can see any page in Blender that has the star in the top right. You can click that star, add that either unit page or lesson plan page to your favorites, and you'll encounter those on your homepage. So some of those things are newer. Some of those have been existing for a while. We do find the My Notes to be definitely more allow for more creativity and more flexibility in what you do with them. The bookmarking is definitely good if you want to remember a specific page yourself. But if you're going to consider sharing, we think that My Notes makes a really nice way to share out, build kind of that common planning, within Blender. All right, so the last little quick tip you have is to remind you that you can still print when needed. I mentioned you could print a My Note as a PDF. You can print as regular print dialogue within Blender. They're just like you saw the gear to manage your courses on your homepage. There's gears throughout Blender that will give the option to print either entire courses or units or sections within it. We don't anticipate too much printing going on anymore, but that is still something that you should be able to do. So I really apologize for the confusion and my inability to keep my feed going. Dominique, thank you for walking us through these. Just so you're assured, all of the follow-up activities that we have in the ELM are very plainly laid out in the quick tips and in the resources. We also have access to the video for this as a follow-up as well. So all of those activities are going to be easily done. Any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to us. And then Rebecca, I do need to finish up with the last update for everybody on the textbooks. And so we're going to finish up with just a couple of slides to give you guys an update on what you should be seeing as we get close to back to school here. And Dominique, I apologize. Thank you. We just want to go through where we are with this rather interesting transition. Normally on a year-to-year basis, there's a very set date in the middle of the summer where we roll from one year to the next. This year, as most of you know, there was a lot of changes to our schedule over the year. So there was a few changes that had to be made to the timeline for getting teachers textbook access for back to school. So the next couple of slides, just kind of some key information for everybody to keep in mind. Dominique, go ahead and walk through this with us. We have this is visually to remind you that these resources should be accessed and used however you find most applicable. Some of the resources you can use in Google Classroom. Some of them will work best with the online textbook resources. You may actually find resources to assign through the student textbooks. But the idea is Blender has resources to keep you up and running. Thank you, Dominique. All right. So for the textbook access, just a couple of key updates so that you guys have seen it here and you know where to get some more up-to-date information. Textbook access is normally an automated process. It's all done based on your schedule. So the next couple of slides here, Dominic, very quickly, kind of key points to remember. The fact is that the assigning textbooks is done very much based on the course codes. Dominique, are you able to get to the next slide? All right. So Very, very important to remember. Online textbook access comes automatically for teachers and students who are assigned to specific textbooks. We make every effort to assign those things automatically, but we can only do that if your schedules are active and up to date. So please remember, if you don't yet have schedules or they're being worked on, that your access to your resources will follow having up to date schedules. So that's kind of just a general rule and thumb to remember every single year. And the next slide kind of calls out that delay that I was mentioning. Um, So this year we had a delay where we were supposed to roll over and then we were unable for a matter of actually a few weeks. So we're still working on getting the last details for all the new textbooks. We're very much on track to having all the classes and access done for the pre back to school week. So the week of the 24th, if you have classes that have been in SIS and active, you should expect to see your classes the 24th, possibly the 25th, as those will begin to work. And students will get access to their online books the very, very first day of school. That's been that way for 3 years now. So when the students click to get their textbooks, they'll see student textbook tiles beginning the first day of class. All right, Dominic, we'll just go ahead and zip through here. As a reminder, if you are assigned to teach textbooks, you will also get access to textbooks. So new this year, if you are an assigned teacher, you'll also get your textbook links brought directly to you on the Blender homepage. Nice new addition. Those are almost all single sign-on now. So when you come back into Blender, as the schedules get finalized, you should see your textbooks. And you'll be able to click on those and get access to your courses there. And of course, we mentioned, go ahead, Dominic, we'll go through these next couple of slides. We also mentioned that you can get access on the individual courses. All right. If you are brand new or you have a new textbook this year that was just adopted, you might not know for sure what is expected for your courses. One of the things I showed you earlier on was a district textbook course in Blender. A really good course for everybody to kind of subscribe to. That's where you can go to get an up-to-date look at what books were adopted for every individual course. That course has key information about the timelines for when each subject area is adopted for, how we get those resources, who to reach out if you have questions about maybe you were supposed to receive paperback books each year. There's contact information on that course about who to reach out to for different textbook questions. And then for this conversation, if you click into the courses area, there's going to be a subject by subject listing of all the courses and the textbooks that are adopted. Again, because of the delay, we're finalizing the changes for career and tech ed and world languages right now. But every other subject area is up to date. You should be able to go in there and find what is assigned with your books. So go ahead and the next slide, Dominic. All right. By subject area, you'll be able to find your courses, who your publisher is. Again, the screenshot's a little bit old. It says Pearson. That's now a company called Savvis, but it was the Envision textbooks. And who the contact information is for those courses, and a little bit how to access them, again, by subject area. Next slide. Okay. We also mentioned on your course pages and the landing pages, you'll get textbook information. It's kind of a reminder of that. So if you want to get up-to-date updates after the school year gets rolling, your individual courses is probably the best place to go. And next slide. Again, that's kind of that contact information. And that's what it looks like on a course page. I apologize. Next slide. Just a visual for what your students see. Textbook access is provided to the students, very similar to the way that you'll see them for yourself. Students enrolled in classes will click on a tile on their portal, says student texts, and they'll get the links to all their individual textbooks. And again, those tiles will become visible to them on the first day back to school. All right, and let's wrap this up with some support questions. If you have questions about textbooks, remember that curriculum support in the Blender textbook course is a good indicator on who to reach out to. Next slide. If you have questions about Blender or textbooks, probably the smartest thing to do is do a ticket in Blender. If you go to the support menu at the top, there's a place to submit a Blender ticket. That will come directly to myself as well as the Blender support team, and we do respond to those as quickly as possible. And if you have technical questions, you can also always reach out to your school tech or submit e-support tickets. If it's textbook or Blender related, it also gets routed to our team here, so we'll be able to address those as quickly as possible. All right. All right. Contact information is here. And then Rebecca, thank you so much. If you could wrap up reminding these folks how to access and complete their follow-up.
Thank you very much. I just want to make sure everyone who's joined us here today that you make sure you register in e-learning management. You will see multiple courses for this Blender overview and textbook updates. Some of those are pre-recorded. This one is live, so you would want to make sure you're registered for the live course. You have until Monday to register for the course. After that, registration will be closed. The course, however, will stay open until September the 30th, so you do have time to submit your implementation. And Dominique is going to talk to us a little bit about what that implementation looks like.
So the course has 4 modules. The first module is going to be just an overview of what the course is, where you can find your resources, and it just kind of gives an overview of the evidence you're going to be uploading. In module 2, which is where you're going to see, here. This is a recorded video, much like we did live. So if you need to go back, you can watch this video. This live session is also being recorded. So there's 2 resources that you can use to kind of refresh if you need to kind of go back over some things. The quick tips are here. There's a PDF version, and then there's a Sway version. And then there's links to our training team site and the YouTube channel. These are just additional resources as you go through your implementation. And then your actual implementation is going to be a set of 4 tasks. So you're going to provide evidence of accessing an announcement, favoriting a course, going through support tickets in Blender, and also submitting some feedback. So you're going to submit screenshots for all 4 of those tasks. And then just like the other courses, you're going to upload these into ELM in module 3 as a PDF file. And then once you do that, we'll go in and grade. There are hundreds of submissions, so be patient as we grade them, but we'll grade them as soon as possible. If anything is missing, if we need the information from you, we will contact you directly. If you have any questions or concerns as you go through the course and through your evidence implementation, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help.
All right, thank you for the information, Dominique. I'm gonna go ahead and do some closeout here with us. So speaking of getting some help, we have our EdTech office hours next Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you pop into our website on edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org, there is a calendar listed there. You can click that link and join us for office hours. If you have any questions about this course or any of the courses that EdTech supports, please let us know and join us there. Also, on our website, we have tons and tons of resources from our live streams, including the ones we did earlier today on G Suite for Education overview and an introduction to Smart SLSO online. Please tune in there for additional resources, and we will be posting this live recording there as well. Coming soon, we have our EdTech PBC Tuesday Twitter chat. So our next Twitter chat is going to be August the 11th. It's at 3:30. So we hope that you can join us. Follow the hashtag EdTech PBC chat. So I'm going to bring Dominique and Jonathan back up to say a farewell, our whole training team, and just from everybody on the EdTech team, we thank you so much for joining us. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. We're here to help you this year.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank everybody
everybody.
for joining. Remember, we're all on this digital learning journey together. So please, please, please reach out if you need anything. Even if it's not Blender related, please reach out for help. We're happy to help.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.